So I'm one of the laziest developers you're ever going to meet, and I managed to have spent my entire career not learning to use Power Pages, despite the fact that I really ought to have. And Garrett here has decided that that will not stand, and he's going to teach me whether I like it or not. We've been through a couple of these quick little videos. He's been teaching me the basics of pro dev work in Power Platform. I got to admit, there's some pretty good stuff in there. But you know what I haven't seen yet, Garrett? I haven't seen proper dynamic content. The things we've built have been basically just hello world apps. And what good is that? What good is that if it can't build out content dynamically based on the data in my Dataverse database? So help me understand, Garrett. How do we take this to the next level?
Yeah, absolutely. So, to start off, I want to demonstrate something. So I actually added a second one of our accordion. If you've been following along with the videos, we made this last time. We styled it up, right? So I want to show you something real quick. There's a second one here. So if I click Show More, it actually controls the first one. So that's a little bit funky. That's something we'll have to address here. And
Right. We're
also,
accessing it by ID, right?
yes, yeah. And then also the content is just hard coded. So it's going to be the same no matter what you do. So we want to start dealing with that here. So as we teased in the last video, the way that we're actually going to do that is with this params array here in
Right.
our manifest. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, rather than type it all out, I'm going to copy some code because we live in the modern age.
Well, you're not a fan of typos while live?
Yeah, believe it or not. So here, I'm going to go through, I won't go through all three of the properties, but kind of the basics. So you got to pass in a JSON object here with three fields: ID, display name, and description. Those are all pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, ID is going to be, the unique ID for the property. Display names, what you're going to see in the Power Pages editor. Description actually doesn't really show up anywhere that I remember. Um, Funny enough, yeah, but
Well, you know,
it's
putting it out
not
there for the future, I guess.
exactly. It's good for your documentation and that kind of thing. So we've also got accordion item heading, which will kind of be the text that shows in the button, accordion item body, which is the text that shows and hides, and then accordion item ID, which is going to be the unique identifier for the item, for the accordion item specifically. So we're going to go ahead and we've already got that in there. And we want to go ahead and do couple things. Actually, what we're going to do is we want to copy this over and we'll call it manifest accordion. And I'll show you what it looks like now that we actually have these properties in, and it's going to register that we have those properties. So if I do that here, you'll actually notice right now, if I click on this and edit custom component, it'll say add editable properties, and that's exactly what we're doing. So if I sync the portal, it's going to actually have editable properties now. So always takes a
Yeah.
second to sync, but it's thinking about it.
Yeah, and I would imagine there's really no point in doing these web templates without these properties, right? Like
Yeah.
without these properties, it's basically just the web file, right? Other than you said it's a little difficult to put JS in those web files.
Yes, it's true. Yeah, so I'm going to actually delete both of these because these are not the right component. And then we'll go ahead and add manifest accordion, which is our thing here. And we'll go ahead and edit custom component. And like I showed you
All right.
earlier, we've
All
got our
right.
heading, body, ID, all that good stuff. So we'll go ahead and say, I am accordion one. Here's my content. If I could type, and then we're going to go call that accordion one. Done. And then, we'll just add a second one here.
Right.
So
And it'll be ID accordion too, right?
yes, exactly. Um, they do render a little bit funky.
Because of all the disabled script.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Makes sense. This is just one of those things you have to get good at developing for, right? So that all of your default JS without script running still looks okay.
yeah,
It's not
exactly.
look at it, right?
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and sync these guys, and then we'll preview them. But actually, the preview is just going to be the same thing because we actually did not update our code to have what we needed. So that's the next thing we got to do is actually we have to update our code. So
Right.
yeah, pretty basic thing to miss. That's all right. So we're going to use the liquid templating language, which is actually kind of what the manifest is as well. It's a part of the liquid templating engine that is within Power Pages. So to do that and access properties, you have to open two sets of mustache brackets here. And then we're going to go ahead and say, we're going to use our accordion item ID. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and use that ID that we're passing in. To do the buttons text, we want to go ahead, do the same thing. Accordion item heading.
Item heading, right.
Yep, and then the actual content, we want to go here.
Accordion
And
content.
yep, accordion item content.
And then we have to get
which
by
is
ID
actually
in the button, right? Or in the
yeah, or body. I'm sorry, that's the wrong thing. Item body, yeah. So there's those pieces. We also want to go ahead and do this. We want to use the ID to make sure that the content is uniquely identified as well. And that's a cool thing about Liquid is you can actually sort of do these dynamic names, and when it gets rendered out to HTML in your browser, it actually will render it with the variable rather than this text right here. So pretty nifty thing there. And yeah, we also want to change up
the get element by ID,
the
right?
get element by ID here. So what we're gonna do is actually now since we've given it the unique ID, we want to do document get element ID, element by ID, and then we'll say,
You grabbed the wrong line there. That's your function declaration you just replaced.
yeah, that's on purpose.
Oh,
Actually.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
um, yeah. Hold on just 1 second. I want to make sure everything's clear. Yes. Okay. We're actually going to go ahead and do dash button on the end here, just so we've got things worked out here. Yeah, and then we're going to go ahead and do the same things. We'll do accordion item ID dash button. And then
on click.
yeah, so we're going to do add event listener click. So dot add, again, not typing very well today. Add event listener. And then we'll say click. And then how do I want to make this? Yeah, and then we'll do function. And then I want to give it an extra mustache bracket, I believe, to clean that up. Or perhaps not. I seem to have goofed something up somewhere along the way. What we're gonna do? Let's do that, and then parentheses. I think that's right. My code editor still not very happy with me. Wonder what's going on there. Oh, I know what we didn't do. Here's what we didn't do. That. Pretty important
okay.
thing.
Get element, right.
I'm sure the viewers are seeing that and yelling at their screen. It's embarrassing.
I didn't see it. So
yeah, well,
your own personal ESLint failed you on this
one. Yeah, as you can see, we are only human ourselves. But I think that's good now. Editor's not yelling at me.
It's already in there, though, right?
What's that?
There's already a click event on the button. You want to get rid of that.
Yes. So we'll make this dynamic as well. And we'll use the same thing, accordion item ID. So let's click. That'll register. So that'll actually register for each of these. Like each element that you put on will register its own separate function. And that's important because you want it dynamic, right? You gotta, if you're gonna have more than one, you want to be able to distinguish, or you want the the thing that puts together the Power Portal or Power Pages to be able to distinguish which one. Otherwise, you'll have the situation like we had at the top where, the second one was controlling the first. Yeah, exactly. They were flipped. So I want to go ahead and do sync there. And then we'll preview. We'll see if it's happy. We've got our content different, so that's good. It's a huge plus. Let's see. So we'll start, yep, second. Indeed, now only controls the second. And the first only controls the first. So we're looking pretty good there.
We got our headers separate. We got our bodies separate. Yeah.
Exactly. So pretty stoked on that. But there is one other way to kind of do the same thing. That's leverages these liquid tags. So if you wanted to, you can actually go a little bit crazy. And I don't totally recommend this, but maybe there's a situation in which you find this useful. So we'll actually go ahead and we'll declare another function. We're going to clear out the document.get. Well, actually, we'll just comment it out for now. So you can block comment in JavaScript. Isn't that handy? So we'll do, this is going to look crazy, and people are probably not going to believe me that this is possible, but indeed it is. So remember how I said you want distinct functions for each component on the screen, otherwise you'll have conflicts. So what we're doing here is we're actually using Liquid to interpolate the accordion item ID, and that'll become part of the function signature. This looks crazy, and my editor does not love it. And it will always show as an error.
So with Liquid, you can dynamically build a function name like that, huh?
Yes, you can dynamically build function names and variable names if you really.
That's hurting my brain, Garrett. That's
yeah, I know. You could also do the same thing, like we're establishing this variable for accordion content. You could do the same thing, plug it in there. One huge caveat, you'll notice that instead of dashes, which I've been using all around, I used an underscore here. JavaScript variable names can't have dashes, so you got to use the underscore. But we're going to go ahead, we're going to copy this over. We're going to give it a try.
But you haven't invoked the toggle into your click action yet.
This is a good point. This is a very good point. Well, actually, I left it on, so
you have to add its
yeah. See, toggle accordion underscore double mustache. I love calling it mustache brackets. I think more people need to do that.
A beautiful name. It's the beautifulest name, right?
Yeah, exactly. A great descriptor for what we're looking at. Truly.
Much better than curly braces.
That's exactly. Who wants to call them curly braces? Yeah.
I don't know. Mustache bracket, much better.
So,
of course, I might be biased. So.
Yes, indeed. Right. So we'll go ahead and preview again. We'll see if it actually works out the way I hoped. Ooh, these buttons aren't exactly working the way you want it to. So, toggle accordion is not defined. I wonder what I did wrong.
You got accordion item ID down there, and up top, is it also accordion item ID?
You know what I actually did? Yeah, so it breaks because what I did is I used a dash in the item ID. So that's another thing that's important is because that ultimately goes to the variable name, like I was saying before, it doesn't recognize dashes. So it actually breaks and only interpolates up to the dash. So.
All right. I mean, I guess I could see. Yeah, I mean, it's weird.
Yeah, I don't know how many.
Building a function name, but I guess I could imagine using it theoretically.
Yeah, and now we're working.
Break your brain though,
right. That's the thing, and I don't really recommend doing it this way. There may be some occasion in which you find that is helpful. I just wanted to show that it was possible.
It's pretty cool.
It's possible, and it's pretty cool you can do that. Liquid is very powerful in that way, but for this application, I would keep it simple and just do document get element by ID, add event listener, and that accomplishes the same thing It's a little bit cleaner, a little easier to read,
Yeah.
and a little less bug prone too. 'Cause this
Especially because
is
we don't really have an editor once you copy it in, right? You got that
exactly.
pseudo Monaco
Hmm.
down in there,
Right, but it
and you
doesn't
have to
tell you
be
if
back out here to really read your code. So
yeah, doesn't tell you if it's got stuff it doesn't like really. So it might do a little red squiggly, but for the most part, it's just kind of, you know, it'll do whatever you put in there, and then error out once you actually get to the preview stage right here. So
Monaco Light.
yeah, exactly. So now we're back to the way it was before. You can see the functionality is the same no matter which way I do it. But if I had to recommend one, I would recommend doing it this way. Um, and so I think that's all we have for this video. Um,
That's pretty
next up,
cool. Well,
yeah,
that was a lot of stuff, though, right? We went through a couple of cool elements of Liquid and how it can really dynamically build out your JS, not just like build out a few string variables, right? But
yeah.
actually naming your variables themselves and
Hmm.
in the functions and everything. That's pretty sweet.
And actually, if
And
I
then we got to see
show,
like the parameters going into the manifest, which
yeah,
is a nice little UI, by the way.
yeah,
That's clean. They did a
right,
good job with that. It's very friendly for
yeah.
whatever person you're going to hand off your pro code components to.
Yeah. And also, like, we're looking at the HTML here. It's probably kind of small on the screen, but you'll see like accordion 2 button. So it took the ID that we plugged in here, interpolated that, and actually made it part of the unique ID. That's what I was saying earlier, but I didn't actually show it at the time. So yeah, Liquid's really
Yeah.
powerful in that way, to do your dynamic content on Power Pages. It's the way to do things in web templates. So yeah.
All right, cool. Well, all right. So you convinced me these web templates are useful. They got some quirks.
Hmm.
But some of them are really cool. The Liquid stuff. I'll have to learn more about it.
Yeah.
Um, so what's next? What do we do? What are we going to talk about the next video?
Yeah, in the next video, we'll actually be covering a little more about Liquid, and we'll be covering how to put even more dynamic content within these accordions. So, like, what if you wanted to do like a list? You've got a little list of items that you wanted to plug into an accordion.
Yeah.
How would you handle that? Like
You want the accordion itself to come from a list,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Or if you want, yeah, accordion to come from a list, yeah. That's another thing you could do too. But we'll be covering how to input, since all you're really doing here is you're inputting strings into your custom components, right? So theoretically, and I'll prove that it's not just theoretical, you can put JSON in here, and then you can unpack it in your JavaScript and use that to generate even more content. So we'll actually be able to do like dynamic lists and that sort of thing, within these components, and do it all in JavaScript. So that's what we've got up next. Excited to show everybody. So, but that's
All
all
right, I
for
like it.
today.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, good stuff, man. Thanks so
Thank you.
much. I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to that next one.
absolutely. Yeah. Talk to you all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Thanks.